You know the feeling. You sit down to do something simple, something you know you can handle, yet within minutes your brain is scattered. You check your phone, you open new tabs, you drift into thought loops, and before you know it, 30 minutes are gone with nothing meaningful accomplished. It is not that the task is hard, it is that your brain collapses under the weight of maintaining attention. This is one of the most common hidden leaks in performance, and it costs you far more than you think. Every time your mind fractures, you pay a double tax, once in lost time and once in lost momentum. And here's the brutal truth. Willpower will not fix this. You cannot simply force your brain to hold concentration for long stretches because the biology is stacked against you. Attention is a finite resource. It burns energy, and the more you try to stretch it, the faster it snaps. But there is a way around this. The way high performers sustain productivity is not by fighting their brain, but by reprogramming how they use it. They know how to compress focus into short, controlled bursts that bypass mental fatigue and create precision execution. I call this the compressed attention protocol. Think of your brain like a muscle. You cannot do endless reps without burning out. But if you apply short, high-quality bursts of effort with measured rest, the muscle adapts, grows, and performs at a higher level. The brain works the same way. When you try to focus in long, unbroken stretches, you overload it and performance collapses. But if you compress focus into tightly controlled blocks, you sustain peak intensity without burnout. That is the code we are installing. Here is how it works in practice. The protocol begins with a commitment to short blocks of absolute concentration. The default is 12 minutes, not 30, not an hour. 12. Why 12? Because research shows that the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of deliberate focus, fatigues rapidly under pressure. Around the 10 to 15 minute mark, neural efficiency starts dropping. By capping focus just before the drop, you maximize intensity and avoid degradation. Step 1. Define the task with ruthless clarity. Before starting a block, you must decide on a single, tightly scoped action. Not a vague project like write report, but a precise unit like draft the first paragraph of the report introduction. The brain locks attention far more effectively on specific objectives than on vague ambitions. Step 2. Lock out all interference. During the block, nothing is allowed in. No notifications, no switching tabs, no secondary conversations. This is the compression chamber. You are not trying to sustain focus forever, only for 12 minutes. Anyone can endure 12 minutes without distraction if the rule is absolute. Step 3. Engage full focus for the duration. Push your cognitive effort to maximum, because you know you will release soon. This is not about pacing yourself. This is about sprinting mentally. You give the task everything you have in that short burst. Step 4. Release. At the end of 12 minutes, you step away for 2 minutes of reset. That could mean standing, stretching, or walking a short loop around the room. The reset allows your brain to clear micro-fatigue and restore blood flow. You do not check your phone. You do not flood your mind with new input. You simply release. Step 5. Repeat. After 2 minutes, you launch into another block. Each cycle builds momentum. What happens next is where the protocol proves its power. By alternating intense 12-minute sprints with 2-minute resets, you can sustain high-level execution for hours without collapse. Your brain does not fatigue the same way it does under unbroken focus, because you are working with its natural rhythms instead of against them. The total output is often double or triple what you could achieve in a single long diluted session. Now let me break down why this works at the neurobiological level. Sustained attention depletes neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and norepinephrine, which are critical for holding focus. As they deplete, the signal-to-noise ratio in your brain worsens, making concentration harder. Micro breaks allow partial restoration of these chemicals and prevent noise from overtaking the system. In addition, alternating effort and release engages both the sympathetic and parasympathetic branches of your nervous system. The sprint engages sympathetic drive, sharpening your alertness. The reset engages parasympathetic recovery, keeping stress from spiraling. This balance is why the protocol feels sustainable rather than draining. Think of it like interval training for your brain. Just as athletes achieve higher performance through structured intervals rather than endless exertion, you achieve higher cognitive output by compressing attention into intervals. This is how elite performers work for long periods without collapse. They are not superhuman. They are simply running better software. Let me give you a real-world example. A client of mine was drowning in paperwork, spending 6 hours a day at his desk with almost nothing to show for it. We installed the compressed attention protocol. 12 minutes on, 2 minutes off, repeated 6 times in a row. That gave him 72 minutes of pure execution in what used to be 6 wasted hours. Within a week, his backlog was gone. The surprising part? He reported feeling less drained at the end of the day, not more. That is the paradox of compression. You get more done with less energy because you cut out the waste. Now here's the part most people miss. The protocol is not just about timing. The key is intensity. During the 12 minutes, you must treat the task as if nothing else exists. No hedging, no half effort, no pacing. Imagine you are a sniper. One shot, total focus. This is what makes the block powerful. If you dilute the focus, you destroy the compression effect. To build this habit, I recommend running at least 3 blocks back-to-back every day on your most important project. That gives you 36 minutes of pure, undiluted execution. Do that consistently, and you will be ahead of 90% of people in your field. Over time, you can expand the number of cycles, but never expand the length of the blocks. The length is the point. It is the pressure of the short window that creates the laser effect, and that pressure is what transforms scatter into precision. Most people sabotage themselves because they confuse time spent with progress made. They sit for hours, half working, half distracting, and at the end of the day they are exhausted with almost nothing to show. The compressed attention protocol flips this equation. It forces you to generate concentrated results in small windows, and once you see how much you can accomplish in 12 minutes, you will never again confuse busyness with productivity. There is also a psychological effect at play. When the brain knows it only has a short sprint, it recruits more resources. Dopamine and norepinephrine rise sharply, sharpening signal strength. That is why the block feels sharper than a diluted hour. This is not just time management, this is chemistry management. And chemistry management is the only real way to control focus. Another key advantage is momentum. Each 12-minute block completed gives you a micro win. Your brain loves wins. It releases dopamine not just when you achieve something massive, but every time you complete a clear, bounded goal. This means every block reinforces motivation for the next one. You create a chain of victories instead of a chain of failures. Compare that with the usual pattern. You tell yourself you will work for 3 hours straight. Within 20 minutes, you drift. By the time you hit the 3-hour mark, you feel like a failure, even if you got something done. The compressed attention protocol replaces that failure spiral with a victory spiral. Each sprint ends with satisfaction, and that satisfaction builds into compounding drive. Let me outline how to integrate this into your day. In the morning, before you check messages, run 3 blocks back-to-back on your most important task. That alone guarantees you have already advanced the priority that matters before distractions invade. Later in the day, stack another set of blocks around midday and 1 more in the late afternoon. That gives you 9 blocks, which is 108 minutes of pure laser execution. Less than 2 hours of actual focused work, yet in practice it often outproduces an entire 8-hour diluted day. That is the leverage of compression. Some people ask, what about flow? Isn't deep flow supposed to last longer than 12 minutes? Yes, flow can extend, but here's the catch. Most people never reach flow precisely because they attempt long stretches and fatigue before the system locks in. Short blocks are the bridge. They get you into momentum faster, and often by the 3rd block you slip into flow naturally. The reset does not break the flow, it stabilizes it, because it keeps your brain from overheating. The result is longer, more sustainable flow states, not shorter ones. Think of it like priming a pump. Short bursts prime the system until it catches and runs smoothly. Another layer you must add is context control. Do not try to compress attention in a chaotic environment. Before you start the block, clear your field. Remove unnecessary tabs, silence notifications, place only the tools you need in view. This is called preloading. By setting the stage, you reduce friction during the block and amplify the intensity. This step alone can double your output because it prevents micro-distractions from bleeding your focus. There is also a performance psychology element. By treating the 12-minute block as sacred, you are sending a signal to yourself. This is where I show up fully. That shift in self-perception matters. You stop being the person who struggles with attention and start being the person who executes in compressed windows. That identity upgrade is worth as much as the tactical advantage. Once the identity takes root, focus is no longer a battle, it is a habit. You must also protect against the 2 biggest failure points. The first is underdefining the task. If your block is vague, like work on project, you will drift. Always translate projects into specific measurable units that can fit inside 12 minutes. The second failure point is allowing interruptions. The rule must be absolute. No notifications, no messages, no just a quick check. Even a 10-second break fractures the compression effect. Guard your blocks like your life depends on them, Because in terms of results, it does. To maximize results, track your blocks. Use a simple counter or a notebook. Every time you complete one, record it. Watching the number rise creates a visual proof of progress and motivates consistency. Within weeks, you will notice that your output has multiplied, your stress has dropped, and your confidence has grown. That is the compounding power of the protocol, and this is where the leverage becomes unfair. While most people drag themselves through diluted hours, you are stacking pure execution into short windows and still conserving energy for the rest of your life. That balance is the secret advantage of high performers. They do not grind endlessly, they compress effort into focused bursts and dominate the scoreboard. Imagine the effect over months. Instead of hundreds of wasted hours, you have hundreds of compressed victories. Instead of constant fatigue, you finish your days with energy left over. Instead of being the person who never follows through, you become the person who always delivers. That is the edge this protocol gives you. It turns the chaos of your scattered mind into a disciplined laser beam that cuts through even the hardest tasks. You now hold the compressed attention protocol. The next time your brain fractures, don't fight it with willpower. Don't waste another day in diluted effort. Compress. 12 minutes on, 2 minutes off, repeated. That is your new code for sustained focus and relentless progress. Use it, master it, and stack the wins until they redefine who you are. And if you want to keep building an arsenal of codes like this, protocols that rewire your brain for performance, finance, and influence, subscribe to Success Code. Every video gives you another tactical upgrade, another piece of software for your mind. Subscribe now, because the next code we release could be the one that doubles your results before the competition even realizes what happened.